my gateway drug into the anime world is a series called One Piece.
Okay.
One Piece is a global phenomenon.
Should I watch it? Is it great?
So the reason why
I also never want to like overstep a boundary as well as somebody who is on the outside looking in.
There might be some like incel energy there at times.
Does that ever come into conversation when it comes to like the way that women are viewed in that space at all? Because I've always wanted to know that. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Fandom Culture. This is a place for fans of fans, and everything in between. This is season 2 of the podcast. If you did not check out season 1, you can find us on Spotify at Fandom Culture. You can find us at acast.com/Fandom Culture. And of course, on the YouTube channel, just search Brooke Morrison and I will be right there. You can find me on Instagram as well at I am Brooke Morrison, but I am the host of this show. And if you have listened to a lot of the other episodes that we've had, you know I love to focus on media professionals, people who are interested in fandoms in one way or another, people who really add to that culture, because I think it's an important one to some extent. I'm sitting here talking to Seena.
Thank you, Brooke, for having me. I'm super excited, and I love all of your fandom culture content. So I'm like a fan of the show, if I could say that.
Thank you.
My history, I would say that I worked in radio broadcasting for a long time. I was an on-camera and on-air talent personality.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of things like this with a mic in front of my face for a really long time. I was on air in markets in the Bay Area, San Francisco, NorCal, and then Los Angeles was where I was home last. And then I went into working in artist management. So I was on the weekends team for a few years.
Epic.
Went into another company to do artist management. And then now I currently am the senior manager of creator partnerships and marketing at a company called Weeb. We do these incredible virtual metaverse immersive experiences. We just did a Calvin Harris show. We did Justin Bieber. Those are some of the big names. Alice in Wonderland, Dylan Francis were some of the artists that we worked with. And then I basically, in a nutshell, my job is like artist relations. I also do all the content creation for us. And I'm part of the marketing team. And I'm the on-air host.
So everything
that
could be done, you do it. What drew you to anime? Has it always been a part of your life?
I grew up in Japan. I was born and raised. I came overseas when I was about like 6, but until I was in high school, we went back and forth quite a bit. So I grew up on anime. It was like the first TV probably that I watched as a kid, like growing up. And anime is, it's not, maybe if you just see it outside looking in, it's not like Japan is all anime. Okay? Like it's not like we don't live in anime everywhere, but it is ingrained into the culture, especially for kids. Like your Saturday morning cartoons, what have you here, that's a cartoon, a Japanese cartoon, but then it gets labeled anime. Yeah, so I did watch anime growing up. And then when we moved here, I came to the States without knowing any English. So I'm self-taught English. So epic. My family overseas, they would send us like my favorite shows because at the time, like it wasn't like streamed anywhere. It wasn't even streamed until pretty recently. So then I would watch that, like to kind of keep up with my language and keep up with my favorite shows and stuff like that. And I read manga, which if you don't know, it's the book version. Like it's basically comic books. It's like graphic novels. And anime is just the TV animated version. So those are the two different lanes of that. So I had a lot of manga. Like I have all the Sailor Moon collection from when I was a kid. Like that's still in my apartment.
That's so cool.
And then I kind of just like, I would watch it here and there. Like Adult Swim like was really popular. A lot of it was on there, so I watched. But it wasn't until the pandemic that I reconnected. And wow,
I didn't know it was that recent. Wow. Because in my mind, I just connect you with anime. But like, I mean, for context, her and I connected shortly after the pandemic started, because that's when I had started to like really kind of reconsider radio. So that's, wow, I had no idea that it was that recent.
Yeah, I mean, it had always been around, and if it was on for some reason, like I would like to watch it, or I would watch things that I grew up watching, but I didn't really watch anything newer until the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah, and it kind of, my gateway drug into the anime world is a series called One Piece.
Okay.
This is the main character.
I'm
wearing
about
him.
It. Okay.
One Piece is a global phenomenon. It is, if you look up, which I had no idea, it is so popular in all countries around the world.
Okay. Should I watch it? Is it great?
So the reason why
your reaction.
it is, we're at about, I think, 1,051 episodes now. So do I think you should watch it? Absolutely. Will you watch it or get through it? Probably not. Yeah.
Okay, is that common? I know I sound like a noob, but like is that's common?
No,
no,
not at all. It is.
It
is one of the longest running series. I mean, it might be the longest running series of all time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that.
I'll give you easier
Gilmore Girls and New Girl all the time. Yeah, because I do want to get into it.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly intimidated. Okay, like to be honest.
Do you like animated stuff?
I do like animated stuff.
Okay.
To be honest, what's really funny is like I was obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid.
Oh, there you go. That's an anime.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that until later on. And I was like, oh, everything looks different.
Yeah.
But also Pokemon was really big at the time.
That's an anime too. Yeah.
So I had like interactions with it, but I think growing up in America and not having any kind of like context for what anime is or even Japanese culture, I think we were just like cartoon.
See,
different looking cartoon.
There are also a lot of different types of art styles.
Yeah.
So if you go really deep into it, it depends on the genre. There's so many different genres. Just the same as if you watch a movie, right? There's a lot of different genres. My favorite is shonen. Shonen is like your very typical, probably what you think of as anime, which is like Dragon Ball Z and like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a shonen too. Naruto, which you might have heard of. Naruto.
I have heard of Naruto. Yeah,
I'm naming like the big names that you probably are familiar with.
A lot of my college guy friends still watched a lot of that in college. So we would just like walk into the room and they'd be watching something like that. And I would be like, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I reconnected with Pokemon at one point with Pokemon Go.
Yeah. Oh,
and I loved it.
I mean, who didn't play Pokemon Go?
I loved it. But I mean, so what draws you to anime now as an adult?
One, I feel like it has a nostalgia for me, first and foremost, because it reminds me of home. It's what I grew up watching. Some of the series, like, and stuff that I watch, even like Sailor Moon was like probably one of the first things I watched.
I want to watch Sailor Moon because it looks really cute.
So they redid it and it's on Netflix now.
Okay. Oh, it's on Netflix? I'm going to start watching it. So that's going to be my first.
And you can watch like the better animated stuff because they remade the series.
Okay.
So it looks beautiful.
Hell yeah.
So there's a lot of that that's still out. And then personally for me, it helps with my language.
Yes, that's God. I wish, like, I know a little Korean and then I know a little.
I'm
German.
surprised you're not like fluent in Korean already.
Listen, bro, it's vocab. It's all about vocab, and it's all about kind of like living within the space. And I think because in German, when I learned German, I learned that for like 10 years, and I was like more involved in a lot of like German stuff in the German Cultural Society and German dancing, and I went to German school.
You're not into any Korean dancing?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, and I also never want to like overstep a boundary as well as somebody who is on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And somebody who like I'm very aware that it's not my space to fully kind of like dive into in that way more than I already have. You know what I mean? Because I
don't think that you've overstepped anything. That's just my personal opinion.
Not.
And I mean, I don't know that I'm allowed to give you like a pass for all Asian communities around the world.
I wouldn't accept a pass. Yeah. I wouldn't accept one. But I do think that like I'm very hyper aware of making sure that I'm like not traversing into that territory.
But I think that, I mean, respectfully, that's awesome. But I've never seen anything or like the way that you carry yourself as like you aren't thinking about that. So
well, good.
Yeah, no.
I'm glad.
I mean, I think that I think that, again, like, I know that this is like a trendy way to put it, but it's more cultural appreciation than appropriation.
Yeah, and I get that. Now I just feel like I'm over explaining things.
You gotta get on the J-pop train, girl.
I know, there's so many things.
On there.
Atarashi Gakko is like the first.
Atarashi Gakko.
Yeah, the first kind of like group that I've been introduced to when it comes to Japanese
88
music.
Rising. Yeah.
Shout out 88 Rising. I know. And then Hyde, I just discovered existed.
I don't know.
He's a soloist, but I was watching a YouTube channel of a British dude who has like millions of subscribers for whatever reason, but he lives in Japan, fluent in Japanese. And one of the episodes was him hanging out with Hyde for like 3 days or something, or like a week or something. And like this man is like massively famous in Japan.
Oh, wow.
Now he's like in his 50s. It's insane. He's been doing music for decades, but I don't know. I looked him up and I was like, this is crazy. But he has more of like an alternative rock
J-rock, yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the maybe negative things about anime that you see?
Negative things about anime.
And there could be none. I'm just I'm like so foreign to it.
I think anybody that's an anime fan knows that there's definitely downsides. Well, I think one that gets brought up that I was one of the official hosts, live stream host for Anime Expo last year.
Oh, lit. Oh, that's so cool.
So that's another thing that like
see that? That's
me
so
being
cool.
in like the hosting seat kind of opened up those things. And then me being an anime, I also used to co-host an anime show that was on an app called Pop Shop Live called Resident Waifus with my friend Noelle.
Oh, nice.
So I've done some anime hosting, which has been really fun.
So yeah, you've seen the ins and outs of that.
One, like, I guess like character representation, like of different ethnicities. Japan is not a place where there's a lot of people from around the world. Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of mangakas. A mangaka is basically like the creator of a manga.
Okay.
Probably, like we just talked about, haven't been exposed to other people.
Right.
So either there's maybe wrong depictions or not as many, like, ethnic characters from different regions.
Got it.
I've heard some other people from like different cultures have complaints like that they would like to see more Black characters like properly represented.
Got it. Okay.
Or this one of my co-hosts, she was talking about how like she was excited to see like there's anime called Hunter x Hunter, and they have like this African American character, and she's like super badass. And she's like drawn incredibly well.
Nice.
And like super stylish and like all these things, and just like a really great character overall. And somebody was cosplaying as her at Anime Expo, and she was super excited to see that because you don't really see a lot of that. So I think that's a place where I can change. I mean, I guess maybe how do you say it, like more like weeb culture.
Okay.
Can be great, but it can be really supportive. And I've luckily I've only experienced very supportive.
Okay.
But this is the harshest way to say it, but there might be some like incel energy there at times.
Yeah.
And
that's not the first time I've heard that, honestly, about anime culture.
Yeah.
Again, not having any context for myself because I am not deep into it at all, so I don't see it myself, but I've definitely seen that complaint itself.
Well, especially to women.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, very lucky that like when you stream, right? Like when you're on camera person, the chat is not always your friend. So I've been lucky where like I haven't had to deal with anything like that, but I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've tuned into things where people in the chat don't have the best things to say, and it's very like incel-y energy. Yeah. Especially if there's like a female that comes on screen, or you get the whole like people challenging you about your anime knowledge.
Right.
Like if you don't know everything about anime, you're not a real fan.
It's like I get wanting to be a history buff. Like I understand that kind of stuff, and I get like being so passionate about something that you just have to know everything about it. But that's
great
judgment,
for you. Yeah.
Right. Passing judgment or like quizzing people is so odd to me.
Yeah.
So strange. Like I would want to come to you for like, oh yeah, tell me like when this happened or what, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But if you start quizzing me, I'm immediately tuning you out.
Why don't you know, Brooke? Like, what's the matter?
No way. Because I mean, there's even stuff about like, certain groups in K-pop where, sometimes you'll be asked like, oh my God, how do you not know this? And there was like, a song where it's like, you don't know all the lyrics to it or something. And then you get comments like, how do you not know all the lyrics? How are you a fan of this group and you don't know every single lyric to every song? And that's where I kind of draw the line. And again, this is no hate to K-pop fandoms or, the weeb culture in any way. But at the end of the day, it's like it should be your own experience. Like music and anime and anything else is about enjoyment and it's about connecting to something and it's about feeling good. And to me, if not knowing every single lyric to every song that a specific artist put out, is not a priority of mine, then I'm not gonna do it.
I know. It's like if somebody asked me what happened in episode 751 and why can't I recite the exact line that Luffy said in that second and 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the show, it's like, come on, bro. Like really? Like
right.
It should, like, you can be a casual fan and still be a fan.
And that's, I mean, if that makes you feel good too, if you know what happened at 2 minutes and 30 seconds into a show.
That is very impressive.
That's amazing. Yeah. But like once you start throwing judgment around, like,
no,
that's something I can't sign on to either. But I've definitely heard both of those, kind of like the incel type culture in anime on top of the, kind of like, you have to know everything about this show type of vibe.
We've all seen it, right? There's a lot of anime women that are drawn with like Tego bitties and the tiny, tiny waist. And
they make me feel like I'm not living life right sometimes. I'll catch like a glimpse of like an anime TikTok or something sometimes. And I'm like, oh my God, like how does that look? Does that ever come into conversation when it comes to like the way that women are viewed in that space at all? Because I've always wanted to know that.
Well, see, okay.
You don't have to talk about anything you want to talk about too.
No. I think for sure it comes up a lot. And I'm sure there's a lot of people on both ends that either absolutely don't see anything wrong with it and then people that see everything that's wrong with it. But it's not that case with all anime. Like not every mangaka, not every studio is animating these characters in that way. Okay. For example, a very popular current anime that's called Jujutsu Kaisen. They actually have been like commended because a lot of the female characters, their clothing is a lot more neutral. Okay. It's like almost like a co-ed type uniform or like it's a lot more subdued because one of the main girls, she's fighting a lot, but she has like clothing that looks like it would probably make sense for fighting and not just like a tiny like bikini or whatever,
because oh my God, that would be so uncomfortable and I would be cold all the time. I think about that, just the dumbest stuff, because again, I'm not into anime. I would like to start watching, but sometimes I look at that and I'm like, I can't make sense of this. Like, why are you wearing like the tiniest bra and panties and tall boots to like go fight crime? I'm confused. Yeah. So that's where it is for me. But again, just like outside looking in.
Yeah, but
type
stuff. But you could say the same for anything though, right?
Absolutely.
Take movies. You have like Megan Fox and the Transformers. Like,
yes.
How does that happen?
But that's always gotten like crazy. But like people talking about it. Like, why is she wearing that? So her wearing jeans, running around the desert. It's like, why would you go and like sign up for something in a pair of jeans? Just dumb stuff.
Yeah. Or like Jurassic Park got some hate because the girl was wearing heels the whole time running from dinosaurs. But it's the same thing. It's like anime, it's just a cartoon. It's not to me, I take it like it's not that serious. And if you don't like that, there are tons. There's a whole shoujo is a whole genre made for women.
Nice. Okay,
you have
like
if
that.
you don't like, there's like harem anime as a category where there's a lot of girls for one guy. There's a reverse harem anime where if you're not into that, there's a girl pulling a lot of guys. Like there's something for everybody. Yeah. So but that is something that does come up for sure. Like I don't really feel any type of way about it just because, I mean, it's a like a category that has so many different choices.
Yeah, I get that. I get that a lot. And it's crazy to know how massive it is. You've cosplayed before, right?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Do you like cosplaying?
It's fun. I would like to do it more. It is very expensive and very time consuming. So
I could not imagine.